Hey, what's up, buddy?
Bruh, life seems better when us two are going at it, talking about sports, man. We missed last week because god damn was life has been busy as hell. Like
Yeah, last week was little nuts.
the work like the more and more I think about it, it's like one of my football players, we were talking and he's like, man, coach, I gotta work. I was like, bruh, you don't understand. Work will be there for the rest of your life. Like I promise you, you will work enough for your rest of your life. Enjoy these moments. It's like, god damn, like it sucks being an adult. I don't want
Yeah,
to. I was to go back to being a kid.
adulting definitely sucks.
One
Before
thousand.
we get into everything, so quick shout out to my dad. Today's his birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you. Hey, I know you're drinking a few right now. You're dancing G.
Definitely, but definitely want to give him a shout out real quick. Also, as I have on right now, unfortunately, this isn't in our lineup right now. Maybe a little bit down the road. But as always, shout out to Miss Michelle, bombshellbowling.com/loudmouth sports talk. Go ahead, get your hoodies. Again, I've been rocking mine earlier this week when it was chilly out. It was great cutting down that cold. But then obviously our comfortable t-shirts, they're still on sale. So go check those out. Maybe we'll do something a little fun towards the end of the month for Black Friday. But definitely go check out Miss Michelle. And again, if you need any kind of mask for everything that's going on right now, she got a bunch of different neck guards, garters, and bunch of different other merch for bowling needs, or again, just if you want to swag out.
and
But
also,
she's been
don't forget,
awesome.
don't forget, if you want to be a part of our guest pickers on a week to challenge Loudmouth Sports Talk and the whole crew on picking every Sunday all your NFL games, man, let us know because we got Brian who came up with the idea. Shout out to Brian Lastman. I don't know how to pronounce his last name,
Yeah, yeah.
but he hit us up. He came up with this idea. So like the biggest, and I think George, what most people don't realize is like for us, bro, we always want our fans to interact. Like that's the biggest thing. So like when Brian hit us up and was like, "Hey man, like you guys should do this," or like Vic Thorpe also came up with a fantasy league, and he was like, "Hey man, you guys should do this." Like anytime any idea rolls with us, like we're no doubt about it going to implement it as soon as possible. So shout out to you, Brian. And he's the best. Should we get the best guest picker a shirt?
Maybe. We'll see. I was thinking about maybe putting the best, depending on how it all breaks down by the end of the week or end of the season.
Yeah.
Uh, we might break down something that the best of the best against the loudmouth mouth again, or maybe just see if we put them together and then they can fight off for a T-shirt.
Or predict Super Bowl winner and score for sure. I like that idea, man. We're
Yeah.
just flowing. But so I wanna never mind, you go ahead. You got the lineup.
No, we'll definitely just jump right into it. So again, now that we're doing, it seems like we're always doing it on Wednesdays. I feel like we're getting farther and farther from the weekend. And between both of us, we've taken more than enough shots to the head that I can barely remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, let alone what happened on Sunday. But the one big thing that happened on Sunday is our Steelers are still 7-0. So that's a huge thing. I still think they have a lot to clean up, but I'm still happy with that.
Which is good. Like, and that's the thing. Like I was telling somebody, my barber, shout out to Bill, my boy Bill, always hooking me up with the fresh cut. Jalen's on the east, on the north side. It's not East Ohio Street. But anyway, so like me and him was talking, and I was like, bro, I like that our defense and offense ain't synced because they haven't hit that high point. You know what I'm saying? So like they still got a lot of shit to work on, but they're still edging out victories. And I think like me and you talked, and all year long, you know, I've been on a Big Ben MVP campaign. I mean, I don't think it's even close to comeback player of the year for Big Ben. And he was still like, as far as value, how can we not say Big Ben is valued as like Russell Wilson is leading that MVP race? I don't think it's close, but I think Pat Mahomes, Big Ben is right up there with him along with Tom Brady. and Aaron Rodgers too, who I hate Aaron Rodgers, but I'll give him credit where credit's due. That defense is doo. They don't do anything. But like Big Ben, you put Pittsburgh, and this is another thing where we'll get into it, talk about coaching, where it's like the Dallas Cowboys lost their starting quarterback and the whole franchise folded. Pittsburgh Steelers lost.
They have a bunch of other injuries too, but
yeah.
But I mean, losing Dak definitely is the shining. I won't say shining light. I guess the dim light. Does that work? But I mean, the loss of Dak is definitely a big change. I mean, it's almost like they packed their bags, which is why this weekend scares me for the Steelers. But like Zeke looks like a shell of himself. Obviously, the offensive line's running with all backups except for like Zach Martin. I mean, for the most part, they're healthy elsewhere versus some other teams, not only in their division but across the NFL. But I mean, offensively, Jesus. I mean, obviously, the Cowboys weren't expecting Ben DiNucci to take any, let alone as many snaps as he has. But obviously, losing it, Andy Dalton is another shell shock. Now they're looking at using Cooper Rush and also exactly. And damn it, Bradley Gilbert or some shit like that. He played in the AAF, so I mean, he
it
at
could
least
be Bradley Cooper for all we fucking know.
Well, fuck at this point, starring in his new fucking role. But like, the only thing I don't like what Dallas is doing right now is I feel like they got very gimmicky. And how I mean that is like, again, I understand that you didn't expect to use Ben DiNucci at all this year, but the like wild cowboy and all the other gimmicky shit that they did this week or this past week, I just didn't fully understand.
Yeah, like you would think, I don't know, maybe simpling the playbook for a quarterback, not expanding it, but even still, like, but this is the whole point about, like, for me, where the Dallas Cowboys offensive line isn't playing bad, right? But everybody wants to bail out there and say, oh, they're missing all these guys. The offensive line is not playing bad. Zeke needs to hold on to the fucking ball. The quarterback has to make better decisions. Amari Cooper, who does not do a fucking thing, but yeah, he got paid over Dak Prescott. Like, what are you doing? CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee who? Oh, okay. It's like Mary had a fucking little lamb. It ain't CeeDee Lamb. Who's the other one? Michael Gallup? I mean, like Michael Gulp, because he sucks. Like, all of them. I'm tired of every single one. Bro, that was the hardest.
You're not going to zoom right by that.
That was the hardest punchlines I ever came up with. And I didn't write those down. That was off the dome. Michael Gulp.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Mary had a little lamb, not CeeDee Lamb, because what the fuck?
You're a damn mess. But like, so the wide receivers aren't helping shit. And this is my biggest issue is where you think that this would be Zeke's moment to like say, fuck all the haters, like fuck everybody. Like he's sitting like he not even like a shell. Like he looks like absolute dog shit.
Right.
Like,
and that's
he's already hit so many, like he has so many milestones negatively right now that it's just nuts. Like I understand it happens, like you fumble the football, but for Zeke, he's usually pretty sure with the ball. Right. Like he's already surpassed his career high and probably his career always amount of fumbles. Like a guy that should be able to put a team, I mean, he shouldn't have to, but for a guy that should be able to put a team on his back.
But even still, and this is where I always say it when everybody praises Zeke and like he's the reason why they built the Cowboys and they build his team around him and he's more important than Dak Prescott. Pause. Because at the end of the day, like, and this is where we talk about the value of a quarterback is so much far better than anybody. Like, it doesn't matter. The Pittsburgh Steelers showed it last year, and this is where Mike Tomlin, his coaching, when it came, you remember last year when we were doing polls and posts where people said Mike Tomlin is maybe the 5th or 6th best coach in the league. And that shit hurt me personally because I'm like, right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers I think they were like 7 and whatever, but we finished 8-8 with Duck Hodges, Mason Rudolph as our quarterbacks, like 8-8. And now you replace that with and that's what I told you. You replace that with a Hall of Fame quarterback, even if Big Ben is 75% of himself, that's still better than 80% of the league. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a surprise that the Pittsburgh Steelers are where they are. Like, I won't say that, but I think how smooth Big Ben is in the second half of the Baltimore Ravens game is really why he is my favorite quarterback.
Well, that's because we got our offensive coordinator back.
Absolutely. And I feel like it was to the point where he admitted, if you heard the press, I've been listening to more and more press conferences because I'm so tuned into the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. But like he talked about, he was just telling each individual receiver what to do. It wasn't even a fact of like calling plays. It was like, hey, bro, like you run a 7, you run a 6, you run a flat, you go to the field. I got this shit.
Shout out to my boy, unfortunately passed, Jared Lorenzen. That whenever I was in Northern Kentucky, that's the exact same shit he would do. Like legit, like OG field general. He would go, you guys block, you do this, you do this, you do this. And our offensive coordinator, Brian Schmidt, would say, hey, I saw this. And Jared would be like, I bet. And it was the funniest shit ever. He would tell everybody what to do on the fly, and it was the wildest shit ever.
No, but like that's legit, man. And I think like the Ravens in the first half took our lunch money, and Big Ben was like, you know what, Finker, fuck you. You're not having anything to do with this. Like, stay over there. You know, and I just think James Conner, and I've said this all year long, put some fucking respect on his name. Like, for some reason, we feel like, oh, he sucks or he stinks. No, he doesn't. He's had how many 100-yard games? I mean, last week he did over 100, but that's because we just went spread in the second half. But like James Conner is a very efficient back. I
think we've talked about it in the group. I think that again, it's going to come down to money, and it's going to be hard to the business side of things. But especially how they're playing this year, obviously compared to last year, which again, it also helps that we have our true offense coordinator back. Juju and Connor, if they decide to take team-friendly contracts, the Steelers are going to more than welcome them back just because of what they're providing in the locker room, but then on game day. Connor's obviously creating more stats, I guess, I'll say. But, like, Juju has his moments, but there's a lot of things that Juju's also doing that isn't showing up on the stat sheet. Juju, and we've talked about it in our group, Juju is this generation, I'll say, Hines Ward.
1,000%.
Again, I feel like he's a leader in the wide receiving room. For the most part, I feel like he's a leader in the locker room.
Yeah.
But then he's a kind of guy that doesn't give a shit or doesn't seem to give a shit about the stats and will block and pick up his team and do the small things that don't show up on a stat sheet. But guys that actually know football, which unfortunately aren't many, understand what he is to that football team.
And then he produces on the field when it matters. And I think for me, that's where, like, if you look at him, he's about 210 right now. Like, you ain't little. Like, he got big.
Yeah, he's like 6'1", 210. I mean, he's a good size for an inside slot.
And I think for some reason, like some dude was arguing with you, and he was like, "Well, Juju's not a number one, motherfucker." He's never said that. People last year put the pressure on him and act like, oh, Antonio Brown versus Juju. Juju doesn't care. Juju is all about the team. You can give Juju one target and 2 catches like he did the week before, and as long as they win, he's going to celebrate. He does not care.
Yeah.
Or
like I said,
9 catches. We're going to give him 13 catches against Baltimore, and when we need him, he's coming through with no – and there's no ego. Like Deontay Johnson can go big. Claypool can go big. Washington going to come out the wazoo. Eric Ebron's going to come out the wazoo. McDonald, Connor, fucking me, you, Millie Shack, the Bendigo. Like, there's all these people who get to get the ball.
The only time, like, I think what a lot of people, I'll say, took that they thought Connor was trying, or Juju was trying to say he was going to be number 1, was they were, I guess, Juju and AB was getting in like a Twitter war. People thought that Juju was trying to take over number 1. Maybe he tried to take over number 1 in the wide receiving room as the vet or whatever. But I never remember him saying that, like, I want to be the guy. Like, fuck everybody else. Like, it's me.
Right.
I never saw that out of him.
No.
And even when guys have bad games or rough games, kind of like how James Washington had rough games, anything like that. Fucking TJ. But anytime anybody's had like a rough game, I feel like Juju has picked them up.
Yeah.
And I mean, as much as in the past I was down on Ebron on different teams, and even whenever we picked him up, I was kind of like him all. Like, man, has he definitely changed this offense.
But even still, I don't know.
Like
I don't
McDonald, but shit. Like,
well, I don't know why you were down. If you've seen him the last 2 years with Indianapolis, when he had Andrew Luck, I mean, he was the target in the red zone. Like, no matter what, throw it to 85, and he's going to come down. Like, 85 is like the go-to guy, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and the thing about the team is, like, everybody, like, and it starts with Mike Tomlin, where, like, if you heard him when he said it, like, when he said the statement, and this was last year, after the AB cut or whatever, and the Le'Veon Bell situation, when he said, we need volunteers, not hostages, that sent shockwaves through the locker room. And it was like, damn. And even Big Ben took that shit like, you know what I mean? Like, Big Ben had to look at himself, find God, talk about masturbation, and like get himself cleansed to be a leader. Because now that mentality with the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, and it's like, and this is where I will transition to talk about like Lamar Jackson. Like, Baltimore is failing Lamar Jackson. I'm not really blaming it on him not progressing, but like as a coach, like you're running the ball down Pittsburgh's throat. They can't stop you. And then you come out in the second half and you throw the ball. Why are you putting him in that situation? Run the damn ball, which is what we talk about all the time. It should be as simple to do what everybody else decides to do, which is run the damn ball. I love that new picture.
That's the greatest lineman picture I've ever seen.
Oh, this is amazing. That's amazing. But like for some reason, he needs to develop passing the ball. But Baltimore also needs to develop in making him do it and making it easier for him. Get him a weapon. Hollywood Brown, Willie Snead, and my cousin Andrew Williams, like Mark Andrews or whatever the hell their name is, aren't going to do it. Like, get them a weapon. But again, only way you get to talk about weapons is if your name is Aaron Rodgers. That's the only way. He would rather have a receiver than have anybody
get any weapons at the trade deadline.
Right, but he needs a defense. But everybody wants him to get a weapon on offense. He needs a fucking defense. Can he get somebody on the defense? Like, they got that cornerback who's okay. What's his name? Number 23. I don't remember his name, but yeah, he been shutting people down recently, and he got his open sesame. That's why you don't hype guys in the league when they shut somebody down.
What's funny is like just like you talked about, is we've been doing this how many weeks now in the NFL? We're now in what, week 9?
Yeah, 8 weeks we've been doing it.
Like, bro, like I continue to say this week after week. The fucking game management of coaches makes me hurt. Like you're running the ball down the Steelers' throat. They have really no question. They have no
Let's throw
answer.
a pass.
Like, let's start slinging the fucking rock. Like how fucking dumb are you? Like, that's just like the Cleveland Browns. We're running the fucking rock. Why not we put it in Baker's hand? Like, why? Like, I don't give a fuck if you're Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and like, I don't care if you're fucking Roger Staubach. Like, fuck you. Like, run the fucking rock, you stupid motherfucker.
Run the damn ball.
Like, I just
hold on. Hey, TJ, that's facts. Listen, you guys will sign the fucking documents. There's gonna be a lot of FFCA members.
listen. By the end of the season, it's gonna be bad.
Let's talk about this. And another thing, why the fuck? Now, I feel like there's some coaches who deserve another chance, right? Like Anthony Lynn, he's probably going to get canned this year. He deserves a chance somewhere else.
Because,
I hope not. Like,
I mean, his entire roster is depleted.
Right. So, like Jason, and this is where it comes. Everybody can't be a head coach. Jason Garrett, I give him credit for what he's doing with the Giants, but like Daniel Jones needs to stop turning fucking ball over. Like, that's why the Giants lost, because he kept turning the ball over.
Like Big Tooth said, instead of Danny Dimes, it needs to be Dummy Dan.
Like, but like Jason Garrett controls the offense and runs a great ass offensive scheme, but he's not a head coach. Then you got guys like, I don't know, Adam Gase. Why the fuck do you have a job in the NFL as a head coach? I don't know, Mike McCarthy, Mike Nolan. I mean, I don't know. Why do these Dan Quinn? Oh no, he got canned. Bill O'Brien. Oh wait, he got canned. But like, you got guys who like just show absolutely no like. Where you at up here? Like, how was this? Like, Matt Nagy is another one. He's on my hot seat. He's on my burning up hot seat.
I feel like Nagy's excuses are starting to wear out.
Yeah. And you know, another one, Doug Peterson. Your excuses are gone. I'm tired of both of you, because here's the thing. When Carson Wentz, hey, TJ Wiley, what's the number one thing you teach Max when he plays football as a young guy? Protect the ball. I'm so tired of hearing Carson Wentz say, oh, I got to be better with the football. Motherfucker, no duh. It's not a mystery that, like, you can't run interception. Matt Nagy, you pull Mitchell Trubisky for reasons uncertain that he was undefeated. They would have went 3-1, I think, when he pulled them. Or no, they were undefeated and they ended up winning that game. But like, you pull him and say, oh, Foles will turn the ball over. We're confident. Foles comes out and says, motherfucker, when you call a play, I know it ain't gonna work. And then he recants it and they fix it. But then Foles has 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Like, and then their wide receiver goes out and slugs somebody in the fucking helmet.
Yeah, but hey, bro. Hey, I mean, shit, get it on the pop. If you take my mouthpiece, I'm gonna give you 1 2 E's. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
I just think it's funny. My favorite is whenever dudes start swinging at helmets. I mean, that's whenever you know you kind of got in their head.
Right. But
that was like my favorite thing to do to linemen.
For some reason, you taught me that too. But for some reason, we can't understand that, like, Matt Nagy, you got a good running game. You have a great defense. Roquan Smith is going to go up there as one of the best linebackers. Like, the linebackers in the league, by the way, like Devin White, you got Queen from Baltimore, Devin Bush, you got Warner from the 49ers, you got Martinez from the Jets, K'Wan Alexander. I mean, you got some dogs. And then there's Devin White, and then who's the one next to him? Alexander? No. David. No. Yeah.
I forget his first name, though.
Oh, Levante David. There we go. That's who it is. Beast. Those dudes are like, I never taught. Man, yo, this version, the FSCA TJ Wiley is the GOAT. Like, he needs to go down as a legend. Like, if you get a head coaching job, you just need to have a toothpick with a drink and practice. Nothing else. Just straight up like
But like we continue to talk about coaches, and I mean it's sad but funny at the same time that like week in and out, me and you talk about coaches either mismanaging games, coaches on the hot seat because of poor decisions.
hey, baby.
Uh,
Hey, shout out to my fiance, my world. She's on a hey, she's watching the show, bro. This might be the hey,
About
shout out to
time.
you, baby. Right, about time. It only took you, you know.
Most of the time,
hey,
Katie's asleep whenever our show's on, but
all right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like, I just feel like it's such a weird. I mean, I feel like it's in the college world too. It's just not as pronounced as the NFL, where you would think that you'd have all that shit ironed out.
Right.
Too often do we see coaches just making weird decisions.
Right.
And again, that kind of ties into something that we've been wanting to talk about, obviously, since we missed last week, but we talked about it during the week prior, is just how coaches are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I got a lot, or I shouldn't say I got a lot. It was only from one person, but like I feel like a lot of people received my question properly, except for one guy, which we kind of hammered it out. But I'd be very interested to see how long Bill Belichick is in New England. I feel like this year's kind of a weird wash, just because of COVID, the amount of guys that opted out, a lot of turnover, a lot of weapons disappearing. During preseason, I thought, well, fuck, they signed Cam. They had a decent amount of weapons on the roster. This should be fucking interesting. And then Cam comes out, fucking destroys it, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? And then unfortunately catches COVID. And he, like, again, talking about, he doesn't even look like a shell of himself. Like,
right.
It's just a weird turnout.
But to me, I feel like, and this poses an interesting question. How much does COVID affect you? Right? Because like the first 2 weeks, like he looked like Cam Newton, like, oh my God.
And he was 15 Cam Newton again. Superman was fucking back.
Right. And then even still, even though against Buffalo, he played okay, and the fumble he didn't fumble because of COVID, but he don't look himself like he don't look like he got the same first 2-3 week step. And I think
he doesn't have to feel like he has that jump.
And now I think it was interesting that I'm looking at TJ's comment, man. That shit's funny. Like, I just can't stop looking at that. But I think it's interesting, like you said, and I thought it was interesting that Bill Belichick came out and said, listen, at the end of the day, we sold out for 3 Super Bowls and went to another one. That's why our salary cap is 8. But even still, like, N'Keal Harry was out. Julian Edelman was out. Sony Michel was out. Gilmore didn't play. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to this New England team, which is why your question was valid, which your question was, how long does Bill Belichick have? Where I don't think it's a problem. I don't think he's going to be gone. People are saying 1 year, 2 year, he'll be done. I don't think it's as simple as that. There's so much more to it, which is like, you don't get rid of Bill Belichick's, like, until you see the decline in the team. Like, the Patriots defense doesn't look the same because Dante Hightower, who's their leader, Jamie Collins, who's their leader, Patrick Chung, who's their leader. Those 3 dudes, Patrick celebrate
leader
in a
selling rock.
Leader minute selling rock. But like, those 3 guys aren't there. And the Patriots just look like they're not tackling. They're not like, that's when you start posing those questions for Bill Belichick. But like, guys, and this is where I always say it. Before you put any disrespect on Mike Tomlin's name, I don't put Sean Payton up there with the same amount of guys. I don't put John Harbaugh as the same because Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin and Pete Carroll are just and Eddie Reed are just in classes by themselves. Like Andy Reid will have every single player who has ever played suit up again. Like you can call them guys and they will fight for that man. Pete Carroll, I mean, goddamn, the Seahawks defense is so bad, but then Russell Wilson is just like godly, bro. Like Tyler Lockett goes 1 week with 19 catches, 5 touchdowns, all these 250. And then the next week is DK Metcalf. And then Russell Wilson's just having fun, just chilling. You know what I mean? And it's just so crazy. And like these statues of coaches, man, like we need to separate the men from the boys. And that's really what it comes down to. Because like Mike Tomlin, he could have had every excuse to have a shitty season. And everybody, remember when we talked about it, he gets a pass if they have a bad year. But he took that shit personal, saying like, no, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have a standard to keep. And to be honest, like they kept that standard. Besides, Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges who couldn't play and Randy Finkner, those guys are trash. But like, there's levels to this shit. And I feel like all these other scrub-ass coaches need to stay in their place. Like Brian Flores, I'm going to say this now. Remember, I said it last year. Brian Flores, y'all better watch out for the Miami Dolphins, man, because they got some hitters down there. Those dudes is fighting and are a game back in the lead with Buffalo. Buffalo better watch out. They better watch out.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Flores is definitely building something. He's going to be so far Brian Flores was actually a quote-unquote disciple of Bill Belichick. Vrabel just happened to coach or be coached by Bill Belichick and be out of that system. Those two, at least as of right now, are probably the two better products out of the Bill Belichick tree. But again, my biggest thing was, again, going back to the Bill Belichick thing, was not the idea that, do I think he's going to hang it up? It was more or less the idea that at his age, is he going to go through a rebuild? Now, again, we listed the amount of guys that aren't there. But again, I feel like next year obviously is going to be much more of a proving ground. Hopefully, again, whether there be a vaccine or, again, herd immunity, that the COVID shit is going to be under more of control. But this year is such an oddity. And again, sometimes you look at Bill Belichick and he's just there. But that was my biggest thing. But going forward, and again, like you said, Mike Tomlin has kind of etched himself as it is. Obviously, being the winningest black coach,
minority, not just black, minority. Yeah,
but
it's very important to know the difference. I say that because saying my black only means it was only for Ron Rivera is a very good coach. He'll be considered one of the big minorities. So he was the first big man. I feel like that's big to me. I'm sorry.
No, definitely. But I lost my train of thought. But again, him being in that world, again, him himself also has still shit to work on. But I would still put him versus, in as much as I, in the past, put hate on him. I mean, I do agree what he did last year and what he's done so far. Obviously, it's very helpful what he and the Rooneys have built, obviously with Kevin Colbert. I mean, the fucking talent that they have on defense right now is ridiculous. And that's what I was telling people, you look at a team 3 years ago with the Steelers, even though ranking wise, they were still pretty decent as like in ranking as a defense, but on the field they looked like shit. Like, I mean, the amount of first round talent that defense has. Unfortunately, we'll see how the offseason works with that, but with contracts and all that other happy fun shit.
Everybody will get paid. I'm telling
I
you.
hope
Besides
so.
Bud might like only I say might not because like I think he's getting to that point where like his value is just going. You know, like he might be able to him and Watt might be able to work something out. Where like, hey, bro, let's stay, let's do this shit.
Well,
that's
was
what we're hoping
too. Is even like again, as much as I like Vinny Williams and what he's able to produce right now, honestly, what they're doing with Bud Dupree right now is almost using him as a monster back and just letting him roam. Like, I would honestly just have like Splain, like rotate guys through, but I'd let Splain, Vinny, obviously Avery Williams now. I'd let those dudes kind of just work, but let Highsmith and Watt just play and just rotate Bud as a monster back and just let him fuck shit up. That's what he's literally been doing the last couple weeks. And I kind of like it. I don't think it's come from Keith Butler. I think it's come from some of their younger assistants on the defense.
Yeah.
Just because Keith Butler doesn't have that kind of that smarts, or I feel like having a monster back or what have you. Obviously, every team has a different name for it. But having that monster linebacker that just roams and like he basically was spying Lamar Jackson the entire time, and just wrecking havoc.
Yeah, so Denzel Martin is the Steelers' assistant outside linebackers coach.
Well, there you go.
Jerry Oleszewski, he's been there for 11 years. He's their inside linebackers coach.
How long has the outside guy been there?
4 years.
Yeah, that probably came from him.
Yeah.
And looking at the Steelers coaching staff, and again, that was another question I posed, was just the tree that hopefully Tomlin's going to start growing. He has some younger cats, but a lot of his staff's older guys. I feel like between him and some of his younger coordinators, Matt Canada, have been doing a lot of things with this team that have me excited for the future, especially if they can keep a lot of that talent around.
Shout out to my boy Sean Starrett, who is the offensive line coach. He learned. I love when this happens because we criticized the offensive line last year. Like, and we came down hard on how bad they played, especially for me and you, because we take it personal. Coaching the offensive line and playing offensive line, like, those big dudes need to do it. And I mean, like, we talked about age-wise and how much of a factor age would be. But, I mean, remember I told you, he is solid. Like, him moving a guard turned out to be the right move. And then you got, like, Big Oak. Oak is going to be there for anchor. And then David Castro played last week. But, like, Dotson is a young guy. Like, he's a second-year guy.
Let me pose this real quick. Do you think they keep this Castro,
he's
or do you
center.
think they try to move from him?
I think they move him to center, move Dotson to guard, move Okafor. Keep him there. Move Bannon to left.
Leaves, though.
Well, he'll leave when Big retires.
Yeah.
We drafted a center from Nebraska. So I think because the Castro's contract. See, but the thing is, like, everybody loves Big Cash. So, like,
I love Castro, but just because of his contract, and unfortunately, right now, the amount of injuries he's been eating right now,
which is hard.
Semi scares me. And a guy like Dotson that is there producing and on a rookie contract, sign me the fuck up. Especially
I think he plays really fucking well. It's not just that he plays, because some guys just play and you fill him in. Like Dotson, I thought he looked better than Big Cass like this year because Dotson, like that offensive line, like they were moving. Like,
Well,
you
the
know,
other
and
thing
then
I
they
like
got that.
too is they signed Wisniewski to the active roster, and so that's also interesting. But like I said, man, if we can keep the youth in the offensive line that we're gaining, I have a lot of faith. It's at this point just finding the next quarterback.
Well, who's
That's
the?
going to be the hardest part for the Steelers.
There's another. There's another guard. I think Hawkins. Was it Hawkins or
Yeah,
no?
Jared Hawkins. They've been using
Gerald
him
Hawkins.
as like almost
Yeah.
like a third tight end, like Banner last year.
And they still got Derwin Gray. So I mean,
Derwin
like
Gray's another dude that I really like.
And that's the thing, like
Derwin Gray. If we can get Gerald Hawkins staying on the active roster, there's a fuck ton of youth on the Steelers offensive line. It's just making sure they stay there and can build that.
Right.
Because I could honestly see Chuck moving over to a left tackle if Big Al ever leaves.
See, I don't. I think Banner moves.
Well, that depends on how he comes back after this knee surgery.
Yeah. But I don't. It's an ACL. It's not like it's a like like technology
no, it's not like
and medicine.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it's just with medicine, like ACLs aren't as like hurtful as they used to be. You know what I mean? Like even 3 years ago, 4 years ago, medicine has gotten better. So that's why I feel so sweet about like man in the linebacking core of the Steelers. I mean, God, and Isaiah Buggs finally, what we've been wanting him to do, which we thought he was able to do, the first half he looked like shit. And Mike Tomlin again, I don't know if you heard it. But they asked him, like, well, how do you feel about Isaiah Buggs? He was like, well, I mean, he played horrible in the first half. He was like, and I think he knows that, and I'm not knocking him. He's like, but he played horrible. And in the second half, it wasn't like we were going to go to anybody else. He knew he had to do what he had to do. And I just love hearing Mike Tomlin say shit like that because it puts you on notice, like, you're with Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, Alu went down before the game, and it was like, okay, Buggs, step up. And that 4th and 2 where he's shatting the blocker, makes a tackle on Lamar Jackson is like, bro, that's what we need. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Tuitt is healthy. He's looking dominant. If this team can stay healthy, George, I'm promising you.
That's why
we're going to win. Like, oh.
Well, apparently Cam has just a quad strain, which is thankfully good. Aluwalu will be out for a minute. He has I think it's an MCL sprain. But Buggs stepped right into where Aluwalu was. And honestly, we haven't seen much of Worley. We still have him in reserves.
Yeah.
So again, we're harping on a lot tonight, but like I can't not be excited about the fucking Steelers this year.
Right. Because like I was excited about the Tennessee game, but that left a bad taste in your mouth and my mouth because just how the offense was flowing so well, but then Big Ben turned the ball over twice, you know, where it was a good, like the first was before the half, which we could have got points. I didn't really care about. But then the second one was a deflected pass, which you can live with. And then the third one was him trying to thread the needle to Juju, which Juju should have caught it. But even still, it's a tight pass. You don't make it. But like Big Ben, and that's the thing, Big Ben is on a pace to where we finally want Big Ben to be at, which is like, don't turn the ball over so damn much, which you love, which is like, all right, if you throw 4 touchdowns, try not to have more than 1 interception. If you do have one, okay, but that's it. Like he's at what, like 7.
Thing with like quarterbacks, it's almost like that Brett Favre gunslinger idea. Ben's a gunslinger. I mean, it's gonna happen. Just try not to make it 50-50, bro. Like, I mean, obviously, I'd try to like make it 3-1. Like 2-1 is still kind of questionable, but 3-1's bet. Have it. Like
so he's at 15. He's at 15 touchdowns and 4 receptions. That's the best. That's the if the season ended now, that is the best fucking TD to interception ratio he's had ever.
Like, in a long time.
Ever. Like I mean ever.
Yeah.
So we needed to talk about the Steelers because there's no way we can both get excited. and not talk about our guys. But is
Right.
there any other team like? So I don't know what else we have to talk about. I forget, but we're
We'll keep
rambling,
moving.
so let's keep
You're
it
good.
going. Yeah. So like young quarterbacks, man, like Justin Herbert and Joey Burrow. Oh my God. Please, teams, like, and I can't say this enough. Please protect these guys and get these guys weapons because they will win you a Super Bowl. Like Joe Burrow, which remember we talked about this when people were like, Joe's not going to do this. Man, that motherfucker was the best player in college, and he's telling you why. Because we talked about it in our loudmouth group chat with Isaiah, where he said Justin Fields will be good, which I don't think so. But the reason why is because like Joey Burrow, that year against LSU was the greatest year ever by any quarterback ever. Period. Not even close. But like he was able to like read defense. It didn't
Keep
matter
going.
what
I'll
you
be
threw
right
at
back.
him. It didn't matter what you threw at him. It didn't matter which blitzes. It didn't matter how it happened. He was going to win football games. He can read coverages. You can man him. You can blitz him. You can go cover one. You can go zero. It didn't matter. And then you got freaking Justin Herbert, who is like, yo, I got you, cuz whatever you need. You want to take away the run game? I don't care. I'm going to make every throw. I would like to see Herbert not turn the ball over as he's still having those young, dumb throws that rookies have. But man, these young guys, you better protect them because you get guys around them, man, the future's looking bright. And I really like if I had to choose between Herbert and Burrow, I'm chewing Joey B. Like Joey Burrow is rookie of the year and I would think it's no knock on Herbert, but just Joey Burrow, man, he got everybody wanting to fight for him. Besides their defense, who I believe in shit like that, but like,
Yeah, I would honestly like to see Justin Herbert with an actual full roster.
right,
Again, unfortunately, the Chargers are one of those teams that has an absolutely depleted roster right now.
right.
Not only on defense, but offensively kind of too as well. Keenan Allen's been in and out of the roster.
What else
Obviously,
is new?
the running back. But I mean, and again, we can't, and I'll say we as sports fans joke about it, but we keep comparing them to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've given up 17 to 20 point advantages. And like we talked about kind of earlier with the coaching situation, that might be something that Anthony Lynn has to eat and unfortunately is put on the hot seat for. I hope that the Chargers have more faith in him, especially since I really like him. After watching
Hard Knocks last
thank
year,
you.
or no, this year.
Hard Knocks this year, I really like him.
Yeah,
Not only just because obviously he suffered from COVID and how he handled COVID, but just how he is. Obviously, Hard Knocks is supposed to feature the coaches and guys like that, but he was just cool to watch. He's another guy that, again, looking at the NFL, I would love to play for, just because of how he is. But I hope they give him the benefit of the doubt, especially with the potential of what that team could have. I mean, shit, you think about, I feel like Justin Herbert's obviously their future. I hope Tyrod is able to be a mentor backup for him in some capacity. But I mean, you have that full offense, which I don't know if Mike Pouncey is going to be able to make that return. I hope he does, just because of I do like the Pouncey brothers, especially what they're able to do as offensive line. But you put what he's been able to do with that full defense with healthy guys. I mean, you think about it. As of right now, their defense is only Bosa. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
fuck. And they just traded away Desmond King. You still have a bunch of dudes on that roster that could make an amazing team, especially in that AFC West squad.
They got Harris. They get if
They
Derwin
don't even
James
got-
is healthy.
Huh?
If Derwin
Darwin, if
James
you
is
get Darwin
healthy,
James healthy, you get Melvin Ingram healthy. I mean, that's a whole different defense. Kenneth Murray, I really like as an inside linebacker. Going
absolutely.
back to talking about the linebackers, I mean, that could be a very good squad if they could just stay healthy.
Health is always the problem, though.
Right. I mean, I know you lean towards Bosa or Burrows, but obviously I'm going to lean towards my Duck.
But here's the thing. But like, it's so like for me, and I don't want you to think toward Duck, bro. Like, you look at those two teams.
Oh yeah,
Joey Burrow, he has Tyler Boyd, like, okay, which he's legit, right? Like, who else does he really have? Like, he got maybe Joe Mixon if Joe Mixon ain't mixing up a girl, beating her up,
that or he's
whatever.
not healthy. I mean, he hasn't been healthy in a minute.
Right. But like, Joey Burrow just got that factor, bro. Like, there's very few guys that you come around. And I think that's where I give the edge to. On the football field, they're kind of like, you could pick or choose, like you said, your Duck. But the it factor, as far as like being a leader, for them to be like, I got you, and believe they can win, I feel like Herb doesn't have that yet. He can develop it, which I'm not going to knock him for not having it, but like Burrow just got it. You know what I mean? Like, and he's in a way harder division. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's pretty fair. I mean,
bro,
I'll
I'm just talking
argue
about
right now.
there is no two defenses better than the Steelers and the Ravens. And Burrow got to deal with both of them twice. Like, he didn't deal with either one of them yet. I don't think
Unfortunately,
so.
he hasn't had to mess with the Steelers much.
Yeah, or the Ravens. I don't think he played them yet either.
I don't think so.
No, they did. He beat them up week 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be interesting, bro. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So I guess small transition talking about teams. So AB is back with the Buccaneers this week.
I yelled at the perfect time.
So I don't know how much of a threat he'll be week 1, but getting him going for the playoffs should be interesting. I forget who talked about it. Somebody said on our Facebook page, talking about they don't understand the hype of Tampa Bay. I also feel the same kind of way. As good as they can be, I feel like at the same time, the NFC is also very difficult. And just because Tampa's been up and down, obviously adding a weapon like AB to that already kind of stacked roster is going to be very difficult for most teams. We'll see how it works out. Apparently they said he's been in mega shape and everybody was impressed with how he showed up. But again, we'll see. The NFL's also continued to already talk about that if anything else comes out negative towards him, that they're going to lean towards a life suspension for AB. It was something that we wanted to talk about, but I don't feel like it's going to be very much news. I feel like it's going to be just like whenever he was with Tom Brady in New England, that obviously it's going to be a factor, but I don't expect it to be a huge factor.
Well, for me, I just feel like I don't want to keep. I mean, who cares? And I say that because like he's an All-Pro. He was the best receiver in football. I mean, you would be idiotic if you didn't know how good he was. Like obviously we know that if he's on a football field, he's a factor. It's no surprise. Like, and then you put him with Tom Brady along with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and all these other guys. Holy shit, they're probably going to be a good football team. But like
Right.
at the end of the day, you still got to face the barrel of the bullet, which is you don't know what the fuck is going to happen with him. Because then everybody's talking about how Mike Evans and Godwin, they accepted him and stuff. If he starts to feel like he's not getting targets, or if he feels like if he can't embrace that team, and it's a headache. Like I'm tired. I'm not like, and you had this argument with guys like Alden Smith and other guys who just keep fucking up and keep getting chances. His fuck ups are way worse than theirs. They couldn't stay off of marijuana. He literally, if he shut like with the Patriots, nobody talks about this enough. It was Saturday. They said no, it was with the Raiders. It was Saturday. They said if you shut the fuck up, you will get paid. All you got to do is shut the fuck up until Monday morning. As of Monday, your contract becomes fully guaranteed. You make $32 million. All you got to do is shut the fuck up. He couldn't do it. Then he goes to New England. They said, okay, we accept you. You get a clean slate. They said, after it happened, he came out, started talking. They said, okay, keep it quiet. Don't say anything else. Not only does he not say anything, he goes at the family and their other family and personally attacks them. Then he says, fuck the coach, fuck the players, fuck the owner. And then they fire him and everybody feels bad for him. Like, I don't care about him. I don't want to hear about him. Is he going to be great?
You look, and I feel like he's been quiet for a minute, but like what people forget, and again, it's funny how people quickly forget with, I'll say, a talent like him, is not only did he run out of his house in excitement from being released from the Raiders, obviously everything happened with New England because New England's smarter than most people and knew there was something coming down the line. But he sat there and had a potential of joining the New Orleans Saints, and they said, hey, let's keep this low key. Just you show up. He brought his entire entourage and a fucking film crew to a private workout.
Right.
Again, we won't harp on this too much just because I feel like it's going to, I mean, I feel like he's going to have some kind of impact.
Of course. No, and that's the thing. Of course, will. He should. He's the fucking best receiver in football. Like, It's not it. Come on. But, like, I want to transition this before you go to your next subject. But we talk about how trainers fuck up stuff all the time, right? Well, Logan Ryan, I just posted it before our show. He put out something that is really incredible. And as you know, so his wife was having stomach troubles and she's pregnant, I think. And she said she was having stomach troubles, but she wanted to go to sleep. Well, he just got finished with the game, so he was icing. He talked to the trainer from the Giants, and the trainer said, no, tell her to go to the hospital, emergent. So she goes to the hospital, finds out one of her eggs got stuck in her, I don't know, or ethiopian tube, or I don't know the word for it, but in her tube, and it could have led to bursting, and her could have had internal bleeding and ultimately lose her life, which is a big thing for Black women, which they suffer a lot. Like Black women's pregnancies are like the scariest thing. You know, there's so many pregnancy problems, but I thought it was cool that like trainers get talked about all the time, but like we love our trainer. Shout out to my girl, Erica. You're my favorite person still, but I might have a new favorite trainer, man. My boy Vince at Penn Hills. That's my guy. Shout out to Vince too. Shout out to all the trainers, man. So it's really interesting to hear stories like that. So shout out to him, and hope Logan Ryan's family and his wife and everybody's okay.
Yeah. But the only thing else we had in the NFL is, again, just talking about real quick the playoff picture. So at least the AFC is pretty stout right now in the playoff picture. So as of right now, out of the AFC East, you got the Bills. Obviously, AFC North, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tennessee Titans have the AFC South, at least as of right now. And then you got the Kansas City Chiefs holding it down for the AFC West. Also looking at possible wild cards. Obviously, Baltimore and Indy have it locked up right now for those other two spots. The third spot's going to get kind of interesting because the Cleveland Browns, the Miami Dolphins, and the Las Vegas Raiders are all at 5 and the Raiders are at 4-3, the Browns are at 5-3, and the Dolphins are at 4-3. So it's gonna get very interesting down the road, especially since we're looking at 3 wild card teams, with them moving to a 14-team playoff. So again, it's going to be fun, obviously, whenever it gets closer to the end of the season. NFC, you got the pitiful Philadelphia Eagles at 3-4. The Green Bay Packers holding it down at 5-2. Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the NFC South at 6-2.
Are the Eagles 3-4-1, or is that
No 3-4-1? Yeah,
okay.
check. And the Seattle Seahawks at 6-1. At least right now, Seattle would probably get that bye. Obviously, also the Steelers getting the bye if the season ends tonight. And then going from there, you got the Saints, Cardinals, and more than likely the Bears being the wild card selections for them. So again, us talking about the potential of a very good looking playoff outside of the Eagles. Again, hopefully they're able to turn around the second half of their season, but once again, they're another team that has a shit ton of injuries. Obviously, talking about the playoff picture, which again, as of right now, is not very surprising. It's also still early, but it's partly a transition that we wanted to use. So the NFL and NFLPA are still kind of butting heads. The NFL wants to talk about making a 16-team playoff. Obviously, 8-8. I personally am not a fan of it. I was not a fan of the 14-team playoff, mainly just because of, once again, we're looking at teams like the Eagles being able to get in with a divisional win. Obviously, right now, the projected wild cards look a lot better than in years past. I'm weird, especially in the NFL, compared to the NCAA. But at least for the NFL, I think 7 or 14 is more than enough. I don't think 16 is necessary.
Yeah, and I agree with you because I think 14 is even a little too much. 12 is where it is because it's hard to find 14 playoff teams in the NFL. Like there's some years where you're like, oh yeah, I mean this year's cool. You know, like the year when Pittsburgh went 9-5-1, 9-6-1 and lost it and didn't make it. You know, maybe they were a playoff team, but but other years like last year, I would not want Pittsburgh in the playoffs last year.
No, and we talked about that going into the offseason. And obviously Pittsburgh had full control of if they made the playoff or not. Like I said, I just think it's more money for the league. That's why they want to do it. I don't foresee it being absolutely necessary to basically drive the league. I feel like people are still scratching their head. Perfect timing for me. Still scratching their head on the idea of
that was cool.
that was corny as fuck, but it is what it is.
It was just like, bro, you ever get the sleepy giggles? That's where I'm at.
Oh,
I don't know if this college breakdown is about to be fast, quick, and
give me one more beer, and I'm gonna be goofy as you.
Game pick, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the added playoffs just nuts. So real quick, we'll finish up the NFL. So, so interesting news out of San Fran. They just put Trent Williams,
Brandon
Debo
Ayuk,
Samuels, some dude I never heard of before, and somebody
Brandon
else,
Ayuk.
yeah, on the reserve COVID list. They
Tank
even
for
shut
Trevor.
down practice a couple times this week. So Green Bay is going to San Fran this week. And again, San Fran's another team that they have a bunch of injuries. Nick Mullen is going to be starting for San Fran. They're on their like 16 string running back. But who do you I feel like I just answered my own question. But who do you have between Green Bay and San Fran tomorrow?
I'm gonna go with Green Bay. As bad as they are, as like I want to go with San Fran so bad, but my picks I can't afford to like it wouldn't surprise me if San Fran beat Green Bay. Because Aaron Rodgers don't want no smoke with that defense. I didn't hear any defensive players that got off that field. You know what I'm saying? Like that defense is still legit. But I mean, Green Bay, they should beat them. If you can't beat, like, I'm gonna have Aaron Rodgers gonna have to answer to some mad questions from me.
Right.
I'm gonna personally call his ass if they don't win.
I mean, obviously last week I feel like the defense let that down more than Green Bay.
He did
Obviously,
too. No, but he did too.
no,
He played
Aaron
like
had a
shit.
bad play at the end of the game that fucked them. But so real quick before we transition to college, so we can just get this off real quick, or I shouldn't say real quick because I feel like I really like what's going on with this right now. But obviously, beat the loudmouth challenge. So unfortunately, we missed last week, so we couldn't like fully announce it with Brian. But Brian Lessman brought it to us that obviously we're going to do fan pick'ems along with loudmouth pick'ems for the NFL. So Brian had a great week, the first week, which was week 7, with 10-4. Then this past week, Caleb Potts, Chris Williams Sr., and Georgie Floyd joined us for pick'ems. Both Caleb and Chris Williams had, I believe, an 8-5 finish. Unfortunately, they didn't beat Loudmouth, but they had a hell of a week of pick'ems. And then Georgie had 7-6, I believe. And again, he still beat Courtney, but still not good enough to win a T-shirt from Loudmouth. But you guys had a hell of a week picking. And I honestly enjoy it. Obviously, I enjoy picking against our Loudmouth crew. But adding our fans in is awesome. So for week 9, we have at random pick, thanks to Isaiah, we have Dan Perry joining us this week, Tyler Curtis, and Eric Lovely. We'll tag you obviously in a post tonight. That way you can get us your Thursday night picks and this weekend's picks. That way you can pick against the Loudmouth crew.
Y'all getting y'all ass whooped tonight. Y'all better come at me. I'm coming for every single one of y'all. Ain't none of y'all beating me.
I hope so. Fuck.
I'm gonna keep on losing. Man, hold on. You know damn well I went bold last week, and boy did it pay.
You did send me it earlier in the week. He goes, man, I'm going with the underdogs. I'm like, you're wild as fuck.
That's exactly what you said, and I should
sure shit didn't pan out for you.
Especially because I was so close. I was 2 games away, and I decided to be Bo Berry. Fucking man, god damn. But I'm kicking your ass on college football, so we can go ahead and talk about that.
Thank you for you guys. Obviously saying yes to the poll that Courtney posted for Beat the Loudmouth Challenge. We'll post obviously tonight with the game breakdowns, so you can give us your pick'ems, so I can add you into our chart. So obviously getting into college real quick. So my biggest takeaway, and it being obviously the second weekend of the Big Ten,
Go
and
ahead and say it. Go ahead and make
go
me
ahead,
say it.
make that face. The Big Ten, obviously, everybody else rounding out. The Big 12's looking rough. But Michigan dropped the ball. Texas helped Oklahoma State drop the ball. Man, we're in our own weeks of 9 pick'ems. We're in week 10 of college football, technically. And there's just a shit ton of upsets. Obviously, I personally like it because I love just the mayhem. But man, is the upsets nuts. Definitely something that I shouldn't say nobody could have predicted, because you had some good pick'ems this week, which I'll take the L. I had some shitty picks this week.
Yeah. Well, here's my biggest takeaway. Ohio State is just better than everybody else in the Big Ten.
Well, at
And
least
it's not even, and that's what I said. It's not even close. Like, and it's to the point where, like, you literally, like, for me being a Michigan fan, like, what do you like? You guys shoot everybody from Ohio State that you play, because like they have more 5-star recruits than the entire conference. Like, it's almost hard to like, but again, like Wisconsin, they were probably the ones who were going to challenge them. And then because of Big Ten shitty ass COVID rules, their starting quarterback is out for 3 weeks. Like, come on.
And they shut down the facilities because they have 25 positive cases. I mean, Madison, Wisconsin especially, but Wisconsin in general has had a lot of bad COVID cases lately.
Yeah, but and then for me, every college all around is down. I mean, besides Bama, but Bama doesn't look the same. Clemson still looks better than everybody else.
Again, I was shocked as shit that, again, West Virginia hasn't been doing anything crazy. Shout out to my boy Eric Kessler. But they haven't done anything crazy, but then they shocked the shit out of K-State. I mean, yeah, another one of your picks. Fuck. But, I mean, college football has been a hard pick this year because a lot of the teams that at least I thought that should be like a landslide caught me off guard, and then luckily you just picked opposite of me. And it's like, fuck. But yeah, I mean, again, as a college football fan, I'm still having a shit ton of fun watching college football. Obviously, because of my job, I don't get to enjoy it as much on Saturdays, but I try my best. But this is definitely one thing that we wanted to talk about, and hopefully it doesn't turn into a lengthy discussion. But so college quarterbacks transitioning to the NFL. And we kind of touched on it 2 weeks ago with the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields comment. But I guess I'll pose the question as, what do you feel like is the biggest hang up right now for college quarterbacks transitioning into the college transitioning into the NFL world right now?
The biggest, so this will answer it. I think this will lay it out the best. So the problem with Ohio State quarterbacks is that there's too much talent, not enough competition. And, what I mean is, like, they have so many receivers that their number one guy is going to be open almost every play. But like, so they don't get taught when they struggle how to read their second, third progression while facing a fire. You know, like, he can read his third progression and not be tucked in the pocket because their offensive line is that good. You know what I mean? Compared to other teams where their problem is lack of talent for, like, there's not enough talent for competition. Meaning, like, Foss from, who's the guy from Florida?
Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask. Like, he doesn't have the talent to go against the competition like Bama or Georgia or you know what I mean? Like a defense that's going to like help him get better because like it's going to be hard for him to like he don't have them 5-star recruits that can get open. So like it's hard for him to pick up the speed of an NFL game. That's where I feel like the talent level is so hard where Ohio State is just better than everybody that they go against. So it's not hard for them to play because Ryan Day he's like Sean McVay. I mean, and that's the thing, and I guess it deals with where they go because like if you put Justin Fields in a Sean McVay system, he'll produce because it's easy. And that's another person we ain't talking about. Jared Goff fucking sucks when he can play. Oh my god! Thank God he sucks. But anyway, so you put him in a Sean McVay system where like he's going to call guys get open and he's going to be creative. Justin Fields will succeed. And Robbie said it. Robbie Phillips, shout out to him, our MLB guy, but he said it too. Like every quarterback needs to go to the best system that will fit them, and it's not enough quarterbacks to go to those systems. Like somebody got to go play for the Jets. Somebody got to go play for the Giants. You know, so it's just I guess that's where I am with it. Like competition for is either not good enough or it's too good, and they don't have the athletes.
Yeah, definitely. Like
Every quarterback needs to go to the best system that will fit them, and it's not enough quarter. You like listening to my voice?
but no, I mean, somebody. Again, thankfully, one of my boys from Corpus shared our video, and I just accidentally clicked onto it. But I mean, I feel like, especially from the college world to NFL, Ohio State quarterbacks traditionally struggle. Right now, Tua might prove us wrong, but excuse me, Bama quarterbacks struggle at the next level. I also feel like guys like God damn it. I lost his name. But there was a guy that was at Bama a couple years ago that I feel like he could have potentially
McAaron?
Yeah, thank you. McAaron could have been another guy that if he would have got a shot, I feel like he could have had some success.
He got thrown into the fire in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, he got thrown, right into the fire. But I feel like most guys out of prominent programs like that haven't transitioned. I mean, I can't think of off the top of my head like somebody that like has had really, really, really good. I mean, you even look it up, like guys that have had mega success or have been Heisman quarterbacks haven't had much success in the NFL.
Right.
Even as recent as, I mean, Marcus Mariota, I mean, he didn't have very many weapons. Same with, I mean, Jameis Winston. I mean, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, right now, I mean, Baker might be the latest Heisman winning quarterback that has been semi-successful.
Because it's too early for Murray and Burrow, so you can't.
Yeah, I mean, those two I can't count just because it's fresh. I mean,
well, I think the latest guy who won a Heisman, would be like Carson Palmer. Maybe is he the last one who like won a Heisman?
Honestly, I mean,
like to be who won a Heisman. Because I don't consider like Cam Newton. I mean, his career has been really good.
I mean, he's been pretty successful, but I mean,
I know what you're looking at. I don't look at Cam because Cam is just athletically. I'm talking about like actual developing quarterbacks. I get what you're saying. So, I'm trying to think like the last couple because Carson Wentz, I mean, he struggled, but he wasn't a Heisman guy. Jared Goff, not a Heisman guy. I mean, in his careers, whatever.
I mean, you look at like Josh
Andrew,
Rosen that was like I'll say a prolific
but
college quarterback that didn't
well,
really pan out.
People said he would be a dickhead. They said that would happen.
I mean, but like Vince Young, I mean, I feel like more of it, he kind of got screwed in that world of like mental stuff. Whereas again, our society, we're still looking at like not helping people with again mental things, like legit mental things, not like AB throwing dick candies at fucking cops and his baby mama. But like, I mean, again, I hope a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields is able to step into a program and help. It's just unfortunately I feel like the last couple years, guys have been thrown to the wolves and haven't been able to kind of adjust to help.
well, we forget about this guy, and I don't know why, but Deshaun Watson. I mean, he was a Heisman candidate. He's probably the latest one who's actually had success. I'm just looking at a couple.
Yeah,
of guys.
but then again, as a team, though, he's been fucked.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you think about it. Other than getting D Hop traded away from you, Will Fuller's your most prolific help.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
Teddy Bridgewater,
Teddy Ball Game, yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, do you count him? And I mean, I'm all the way in 2014 at this point.
Yeah.
2013, nobody. 2012, Andrew Luck. Ryan Tannehill came out in 2012. Russell Wilson, holy fuck. I mean, but
I mean, I feel like
you're talking about from predominant colleges, and that's why you can't really say any of these guys besides Deshaun Watson, because he was actually at Clemson playing for a national title. None of these other QBs were factors in. When I say factors in college, I mean like they weren't the best of the best. We didn't say Russell Wilson was the best at fucking NC State. We didn't say Ryan Tannehill was the best at fucking, I don't know where he went. Who cares? Andrew Luck at Stanford was like the guy, but like, so I guess him, if you include before Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck.
Unfortunately, his career just got shut down quick because Indy just fucked him up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have your spleen fucking lacerated and your back be destroyed, and then you expect to have
it was his kidney, bro. It was he almost lost his kidney. Like, he almost went into kidney failure. Like, absurd, bro. Absurd.
But again, that's the bulk of what we wanted to talk about.
Is Matt Stanford? Do you include Matt Stanford? He went to Georgia.
Yeah, I mean that was a long time ago, and I guess he's had a pretty prolific.
Matt Ryan. He went to Boston College.
I mean, he's put it this way: he's had a better career, but I mean, he still has had also a rough career. Put it that way.
Agreed.
But like I said, put it this way: the top dogs this year, I hope get to a team that they're not expected to be the quote unquote answer to that team's issues. Because right now we're looking at Joey Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Tua as being the quote unquote answer. And I hope Tua's the answer. Burrow's looking like the answer. Herbert's looking like the answer, as long as stuff is put into them.
Right.
And just like Dean Smith was talking about with the Patriots, I mean, Tampa's made a fairly big adjustment from what they were looking at last year to now. Obviously, it helps whenever you have fucking Tom Brady,
Right.
the goat of the fucking NFL. That's a huge, obviously, factor versus what they actually have there as pieces.
Right.
But you never know. Maybe another team could be like them and make that big change.
Right.
But we'll make the jump into our pick'ems for college football for me and you. Obviously, we both picked Green Bay for tomorrow night for the NFL. I did not text you early enough to pick the MAC. Actually, real quick, this is the one thing I love about college football. So, obviously, being everything that deals with this time that we're dealing with COVID and everything like that. Obviously, I think it's funny for the Power Five to have the Big Ten and Pac-12 coming back and potentially having them being a part of the playoff or any big bowl games, to be honest.
Right.
But today, the MAC has come back, and obviously we have MACtion Wednesdays all over again. Maybe some Tuesdays. I haven't looked at the schedule going down the line. But literally the MAC came back in a big way in having a all-conference game release today, which I kind of fucked up and didn't have our picks in for today. But it is what it is. So we're going to start off with the Thursday games and then ride into our top 25 games for Saturday.
Right.
So Utah State, or I should say Nevada, hosts Utah State for our first game on Thursday. I should pull up what the breakdown is because teams like that, especially in the Mountain West, which is also opening up this weekend, I as a college football watcher, doesn't even know what the breakdown is right now for them. So,
Boy, these sleeping Eagles, George, it's almost fucking man.
so as of right now,
I'm over here like, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Apparently, some of these teams have already started playing, even without the Mountain West coming back. So Nevada is 2-0. Utah State is 0-2. Nevada is expected to be a -17, so they're expected to be the favorite. I'm assuming we want to take Nevada and that guy.
Yeah.
Nevada being Colin Kaepernick's alma mater, which with everything with voting the last couple of days, that's been an interesting turn of events, I'll say. So I probably won't pick Colorado State again, but Wyoming, you shut the fuck up. Man, that I was like, fuck yeah. Upset. They let me the fuck down. They got their fucking doors blown off. Son of a bitch.
It wasn't even close.
No, not even close. Not even by the second period or second quarter. I think I texted you and said I fucked up.
I think I was the funniest part was like, I think I seen it at halftime. Like I was at we was at a game.
Yeah, it was a Friday game last week.
Yeah, you was like, I fucked up. And like I'm in the middle of us losing. So like I'm sad. And then like that made me smile. It was
I fucked up.
I
So
fucked
I'm going
up.
to go with Wyoming visiting Colorado State in hoping that I don't screw that up again.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Wyoming.
Man, the only good thing about COVID college football is there's fucking games on, I feel like, almost every day.
Yeah.
So those are our Thursday games. Not very many of them, but two good ones. They're at 7 and 9. So we ride right into our Friday games. This actually might be a very good game, even though Miami is favored. You got Miami versus NC State. Miami's favored by 10.5. I'm still torn, but I'm going to go with Miami.
I'm picking the upset. I like NC State. If they come out, yeah, because Miami didn't look good against Pitt. And that's how I'm basing both of them.
Miami's definitely been up and down this year.
Yeah. So I'm going. I think it's in NC State. I'm going to go with NC State. I really like those. Like, I think their defense gonna get after them, and then their offense. I don't think Miami has a true answer for their quarterback, and so I'm gonna go with NC State.
All right. So the next one should be a very nice rival. So it's going to be San Jose State versus San Diego State.
San Diego about to beat the brakes off of San Jose.
I also favor them. San Diego is favored by what is it? 10.5? No, check that. 9. So we're both going to go with San Diego State. This is going to be
hurtful. This game is about to hurt my freaking heart. The next game we got to pick. I don't know what to do, man. Yeah.
So our long-term favorite with BYU versus Boise State on the Smurf turf. BYU's favored by 3 points, which is also interesting, especially since it's hosted on the Smurf turf. Who do you want to go with on that guy?
I'm gonna go with BYU, man. They're playing complimentary football. Like, I don't have BYU losing all year long. Like, I think they're that good. I think you have to put them in the top. Like, come college football playoff, they need to be the number 6. Like, they have to be up there. As far as like those dudes could, like, I think you genuinely give them a shot against anybody. Now, could they beat Bama or Ohio State or Clemson? Fuck if I know. I mean, no, probably not.
A lot of shit has happened.
They can beat anybody else. Like, I'm gonna say that they can beat anybody. Maybe Notre Dame. Like, I think it goes Bama, Clemson, Ohio State. Maybe if you want to put Notre Dame up there, and then BYU has to be up there. I mean, who the fuck else? So yeah, I'll go with BYU.
So on top of obviously Maction starting up this tonight, the other prolific conference starting up this weekend is going to be the Pac-12, where this is where I kind of semi get excited, especially since I'm an Oregon fan. So Oregon opens up with Stanford having to visit Oregon. I'm obviously going to go with my Ducks. How do you feel about that guy?
Yeah, even with Oregon, the pieces they lost with the best tackle in football, maybe the best player in football, I still think Oregon has that defense going to be fucked up. Like, I'm excited to see what Oregon's defense is going to do. So
yeah, I mean, that was the one thing. I believe all of Oregon's defensive pieces that opted out with COVID and Pac-12 saying that they weren't going to play. Once they announced that they were going to come back, I believe all of Oregon's pieces decided to come back at least on defense, and they were projected to be a top 5, defense in the NCAA pre-COVID.
Do you think I got a question for you real quick. Do you think the Pac-12 is going to disappoint you like everybody else has disappointed both of us?
I put it this way. I'll put it this way. So the Big 12 has disappointed me.
Yes.
In the fact that the top like 3 teams have let teams beat them that shouldn't have.
Yes.
Do I believe that the Pac-12 will follow that? I don't believe so, just because they have such a small sample size. Again, like Oregon lucks out this year because I don't. Hold on, I got to look this up to make sure I don't fuck this up. So,
and while you're doing that, real
go
ahead.
So, Oregon right now, their schedule looks like hosting Stanford, at Washington State, hosting UCLA, at Oregon State for the border war, at Oregon State for the Civil War, even though they took that fucking name away, which everybody can go get fucked for that. That's still going to be the Civil War regardless. At Cal, and then they host Washington for the border war.
So they skip Arizona State, which is
they skip both Arizonas. Yeah. So Arizona isn't as feared. What?
I told you Legend hates kisses. He just smacked the hell out of King.
But Arizona, they obviously escape, which they haven't been very much lately, but they do escape Arizona State, that with Herm Edwards there has looked very nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give the advantage.
So their kryptonite they get to avoid.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give Arizona State the advantage of the Pac-12 only because Herm Edwards is a coach who prepares those guys. Like, you don't ever got to worry about them guys.
As of right now, Oregon and Arizona State will more than likely face in the Pac-12 championship. Just because I can only imagine it's going to come down to obviously the USC versus Arizona State, which we actually get early, which we get this weekend.
Yeah.
That's going to kind of determine the Pac-12. You're smiling. It's so funny.
Chasing Kenya. It's like the most adorable. This is all I ever wanted in my life. But I'm sorry. My fiance came in and completely distracted me. So I apologize.
You're good. So your boys get to play Indiana.
They're going to fucking lose. Like, Michigan will get the doors blown off them by Indy. I'm not joking. Like, Michigan, I am not convinced that they can fucking beat anybody.
As of right now,
Michigan State
3.5-point favorite.
Fuck that favorites. I don't care. You lost to a Michigan State team who is literally the fucking man. They look like Kansas. Like, they suck. Their first game, they looked atrocious. They looked like pedestrian.
They lost to
you lose to Michigan State. Man, Indiana's going to blow the fucking doors off of fucking Michigan. No, I'm kidding. I'll go Indiana, but Michigan's going to win.
I hope so. So the next one's going to be SMU versus Temple. Unfortunately, Temple has barely left the locker room in most games. I mean, honestly, right now, SMU is a 75% favorite. And Temple has lost to Navy, has been in an absolute battle against USF, which isn't a good team. Lost to Memphis, and then absolutely got mudhole stomped by fucking Tulane. So I'm going to have to go with, obviously, SMU for that game. So this is where it gets very interesting, especially in the Pac-12 South. So right off the jump, Arizona State which obviously, like we talked about, is led by Herm Edwards, plays USC. USC, at least right now, is favored as a 10-point favorite for this game. I'm very torn because Arizona State looked very good last year.
I'm gonna go with Arizona State. I'll make it easy for you.
I'm going to go with USC just for shits and giggles, just because they're the favorite right now.
You just want to give me a win. That's perfect.
Pretty much. Again, it's definitely. Fuck. Nah, fuck that. I feel like I'm letting some of my friends down that are USC fans. But I'm going to have to go with Arizona State. Herm Edwards always has people ready to go. The next game is going to be West Virginia visits Austin, Texas. Texas is supposed to be a 6.5-point favorite, but after how Texas played against OK State and West Virginia played against K-State, I'm very interested in how this game is. But I'm going to ride with Texas on this one. How do you favor?
I got a game to lose. I like Texas. I like Texas. Sam Ehlinger is one of my favorites. Like, I think he's a really good quarterback who could possibly play at the next level, question mark.
Right.
But, and I like Herm, who, what's his name? Herman, who's the coach?
Yeah.
Todd Herman. I really like him, but West Virginia is just I like West Virginia, what they got going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick West Virginia for the upset.
There you go. So the next one we got Liberty University, which I believe they're in one of their first years as a Division I FBS school, playing Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech. Right now they are sitting at. Hold please.
6-0. Virginia Tech 4-2.
Yeah, Liberty is 6-0. Virginia Tech's 4-2, but Virginia Tech is a 14.5-point favorite. I'm gonna have to go with Virginia Tech, especially since it's in Blacksburg. And Enter the Sandman's gonna be riding through everybody.
Well, they're gonna be saying Elvis has left the building because Liberty ain't no joke. I got Liberty. I like Virginia Tech, but Enter Sandman don't got nobody to enter to. So Sandman ain't gonna be worthy. It's gonna be Sandman because people gonna fall asleep because Liberty's not coming in. Punch him in the face.
So the next game we got is UMass versus Marshall at Marshall.
Marshall's about to beat the door breaks.
Yeah, unfortunately, Marshall's gonna blow their fucking doors off. I have next to zero faith that UMass, that hasn't been a very good football program in a long time, is going to be able to hold off this Marshall team that's definitely looking at being the old version of a BCS Buster. Yeah, that's not going to be a fun game to watch. But speaking of fun games, this next one's going to be an absolute masterpiece to watch. And it's going to be an SEC ranked game to watch for this weekend. So you got Florida visiting Georgia. It's going to be a 5-game matchup. This is definitely going to be a game that I hope to put on TV to be able to show off AT&T Sports or AT&T TV while at work. Man, Florida's been off for like 3 weeks, dealing with some COVID stuff. Georgia's also been looking very nice. Georgia is a 3.5-point favorite. I'm going to go with Florida.
I'm going with Florida. Man, listen, Florida's about to beat the dog, pun intended, shit out of fucking Georgia. Listen,
Unintended.
Georgia doesn't have a quarterback. Last time I checked, and Florida has a really good quarterback. And Florida has been off for 3 weeks. They came back last week and beat the dog shit out of whoever they played last weekend. It was a physical. Dan Mullen. This is where Dan Mullen earns his credit as a coach in the SEC. Can you beat the big dog when it matters? Unintended again. But can you beat Georgia when it matters? Can you beat those teams that you're supposed to beat? I'm picking Florida. Go ahead, Florida Gators. You know, even though we lost to the Gators last week, and it makes me sad that we lost it. And then you're about to talk about a team that nobody is really estimating to really keep it going.
Yeah, I mean the next one's going to be Cincy versus Houston. Houston's been looking up and down, and then Cincy's just been looking just pristine out of the American Conference. I'm going to have to go, obviously, with Cincy.
Agreed.
Houston just looks gross. Fucking Oklahoma find themselves back in the top 20. They thankfully get Kansas this week, which is 0-6, and Kansas, unfortunately,
Les Miles don't got it no more.
Kansas might have had like maybe one good week.
What was their show name? What was their show name? Miles to Go. They got miles to go to be good.
Coastal Carolina has beaten Kansas. Baylor, that's been off for 16 weeks, has beaten Kansas. Everybody else is just beating the dog shit out of Kansas. Poor Les Miles is down there trying to save some kind of fucking school, but Kansas needs to be dropped on to fucking D2 at this point. But obviously, we're going to go with Oklahoma.
You're so fucked up.
And listen, I wish I was that bad. Like, Jesus Christ. Spencer Rattler's going to have a fucking field day with Kansas. So then we ride into a team that was ranked last week that is unranked now. Another team that's coming off of their first loss after a surprise loss against Texas. So you have OK State visiting Kansas State in another Big 12 matchup. Oklahoma State's supposed to be a 12.5-point favorite against K-State, even at home. I feel like that's kind of a slap in the face to K-State, but I'm definitely going to go with Okie State. They looked good against Texas. They just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, you got Okie State. This other one is going to be just another. I feel like only giving them 10 points is kind of disrespectful. I feel like this is going to be another game that's going to be a bloodbath. You got Texas A&M versus South Carolina. I'm definitely going with Texas A&M. What about you?
Agreed. None of these. I'm
none of
going
these
with
last
you
couple
with
ones are going to be very much as a
I'm
surprise.
going with everyone except the only game we should talk about where we're not going to favor each other probably is Clemson. No, we'll favor each other with Clemson and Notre Dame because you're going to pick the right choice.
Obviously, I think Iowa State's going to beat Baylor. Baylor's been absent for the last also 16 weeks because of their COVID issues.
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to fucking beat the dog shit out of Rutgers. Justin Fields is probably only play for the first half.
I don't know. Rutgers is playing pretty tough, man.
They are playing tough.
It's not going to be a
know.
Let's say this. I'll take the under. It's not going to be a 38-point blowout. No way.
Yeah.
What's his name? Greg Schiano?
Coastal Carolina is hosting South Alabama. Even though South Alabama's had some decent games, man, that teal turf in Coastal Carolina, the Chants, I'll take the Chants this year. I know me and you were both pretty high on Louisiana until the Chants played them, and even though the Shants don't have much of a chance out of that we're on. They don't have much of a chance out of the Sun Belt to really make any big splash in the bowl games. They might actually get a nice bowl game out of it, but I'm liking how the Shants are playing this year.
Agreed.
And then obviously, like how you just kind of talked about, it's going to be one game that everybody's going to be watching.
Wait, real quick before you get to that. So, funny thing about the Shants, I don't know if you've watched anything about them, but so they have a thing where after every game, their assistant coaches get together something to celebrate their victory. So, like, they did one where it had a WWE thing where it had like the assistant coach. One was The Rock, one was Stone Cold, and because it was the Roosters or something, so it was like kicking roosters.
Yeah.
But needless to say, they're having fun as a football team. Like I love the feel of the program of what they got going
that's
on.
the
And
one.
they've only been around.
Go ahead.
Oh, go. Well, I think they just joined the FBS. 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, the FC or FBS they've just recently joined. But again, the one great thing is obviously everything with COVID. We've been privileged to watch teams like this that traditionally wouldn't have got the spotlight that they have had. So that's definitely the one thing that's fun. Obviously, going through COVID kind of sucks, or I shouldn't say kind of sucks, really sucks. But the nice part about that is being able to watch these Sun Belt teams and being able to watch these Conference USA teams that have been around since initial kickoff. So it is definitely fun being able to watch these group of 5 teams basically just have fun. But obviously, before we jumped into it, the one game that I feel like a lot of people were anticipating, obviously the hype around it's kind of muted a little bit since Trevor Lawrence is going to be a part of it. But his 5-star backup is going to be a part of it. But you got Clemson versus Notre Dame. I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. Notre Dame has had some struggles. Obviously, last 2 weeks, they've had a better turnout, mainly because they've paired up against Pitt and I forget who they played last week. But they've gotten better pairings lately versus whenever they played Louisville. They've very much struggled with those teams. But now, basically, the ACC middle of the season championship is right where we're at and right where we want it to be. And I, as a football fan, will be highly excited to watch this matchup.
Yeah. I think even without Trevor Lawrence, as you said, I think Clemson still beats them because Clemson is just.
I mean, the one disappointing part for me as a fan, I mean, thankfully my current TV subscriber, I'm able to watch 2 games at once because Oregon also plays at the same time as this game.
Right.
But this is definitely going to be a huge game to watch as a football fan. I still think that, like you said, Clemson is going to still come ahead of this. But it's sure as hell going to be a fun game to watch. Obviously, as I said before we started kicking it off, MAC started tonight. Pac-12 is also in everything this weekend. So, again, you go to Washington versus Cal. Washington State versus Oregon State late. So after those big games, the nice part is you still have the Pac-12 after dark to check out,
Yeah.
which is always fun, especially since I usually get home late and I still have Pac-12 games to check out. Anything else from you, brother?
No, man, we gotta go. This is over my bedtime.
I hear you. But
Whew.
as always, as me and Courtney always says,
Run the damn ball.
big shout out to Miss Michelle. Check out Bombshell Bowling for all of our merch. But other than that, I'll make the post tonight for our challengers. But then everybody, thanks for tuning in. Love y'all. We'll talk to you later.